Yes.
I assume.
For this meeting specifically.
For
Why
PROSAB.
else?
Yes.
Do we have other people on this thing?
You have Amanda online?
Amanda.
Amanda Godfrey.
Hello. I'm from the Mountaineer, so I'll just be kind of like a fly on the wall, if you will.
Okay.
I didn't really, thought maybe you were invited, so I didn't want to assume. Hi, Amanda.
That's Chris, so that's why we're here.
Yeah, you're throwing us off. We're always with Chris. We like diversity though. We like
Sorry. Yeah, no,
Someone
Barbara
small.
just asked me to hop on. She was like, hey, can you do this? And I was like, hell yeah. No worries. I
Oh,
got you.
this is the best meeting to do it for. So
We're the funnest.
yeah,
group.
they are the funnest group. And you got to try the owl, so feel free to put that in the article.
Oh, is it like an acronym or is it the actual word owl?
Owl, yes, I'll put a link to it in the chat. It's called an owl camera, so you can see
Oh, that's like actually
what we're seeing.
Oh, where is the where is
The camera's on top, and it pulls where it thinks the noise is coming from.
So it just like turns its little.
Yeah, it turns
Where's
its
the
head.
camera? So on this
So it looks like it's like always pointed at me though, which I'm not
Do
loving.
you see, did you see when you walked in the eyeball lights?
No.
So they're on this side.
Oh, they're eyeball light. Oh, maybe that's why.
No,
Oh,
they're both sides.
oh,
Yeah.
they're on both sides.
Whoa.
So that must be
Owl is one.
those must be the primary eyes though, because the second I turned it away from me, it didn't focus. Oh, now it's back at me.
Oh.
When you start talking, it's gonna point at you.
And it's gonna be on you like all night, because between
I'm-
you and me.
we
oh,
talked
So I don't typically know how these go. Is there any chance that this would be recorded so I can watch it back if I need to?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright.
We'll record it, but it'll automatically show up on our YouTube channel. Do you know where to? I can link to our YouTube channel.
Please do. What's your
A link? Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. A link to our YouTube channel,
Okay.
so you
I
can.
think June you started recording.
Actually,
Though, so make sure you record.
I am in it.
You're in it. You're on top.
You can actually do it on our homepage, Amanda. You'll see the link to the YouTube. But
Is it that HTTPS? That's the YouTube channel?
well, this is
Do that. What do you just
What?
mute?
I mute my
So I just sent you the
computer.
Town of Netherland one.
It's helpful.
And if you go, you'll see it on our homepage that we're live streaming at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's what. Yeah.
They can see me.
Maybe,
Wait, why
It
am
should
I
be.
AS?
but then I'm just gonna send you the link to our YouTube channel too.
Perfect.
Oh, it's because you're sheep.
There we go. Sorry about that. I just had to. Oh.
Hey, this is Sam calling in.
Hi, Sam.
Wait. Oh, my video's not on. That's why I can't turn my video on.
Normally I do video, but we're driving out to Glenwood Springs.
Oh, cool. Okay, now I can see. Gotcha. Hi, Sam. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear y'all great.
Great.
Thanks, Sam. What is? All right, so let's see.
I think I'm supposed to take notes.
Oh, yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna take notes.
Yeah, Casey texted me, said she will see us all next week. Okay, so wait, who are we waiting for? Just Jesse, believe.
If I drop off for any reason, I'll call back in.
Gotcha. Thanks, Sam. Hang on, check my texts. Sorry, PT, I just saw your text.
That's all right. That's all right.
Um,
Been able to figure that out. Obviously, I did.
all right. Well, let's get started. I'm Jesse is coming, so he should be here soon, hopefully. But we can get
Forum?
Yeah, because you have Sam online.
Yeah. So,
I'll call yours, Sam.
yeah. All right, I call this meeting to order.
That's part of the.
Seriously. All right, let's do roll call, or I'm sorry, are you good for notes, or should I wait?
No, I'm
Okay,
good. I'll
cool.
just get
Thank you.
notes.
Roll call. Kat, I'm here. CT,
Here.
Alex,
Yeah.
Sam.
Here.
Do I have to call the people who I know aren't here?
No, you could note for the record though that they're absent.
Oh, okay. So Casey is absent. Lindsay is absent. Jesse is currently absent, but I believe on his way, although technically absent. And then Jason is off the board, resigned. Does everybody knows that, right?
I don't know
Some of
that.
the email?
Oh, I thought did he send it to everyone?
No, we sent, I forwarded it.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. So we've got an empty spot.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, so we'll get to that toward the, later in the agenda, but yeah, no, he regretfully resigned just because he's in Denver now and just felt
Yeah.
disconnected and overloaded.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, so, but he was still going to, trust for public land for us and had already submitted a request to the executive director to consider us as like one of their projects or partners, so TBD.
Okay.
But yeah, and I told him if he's ever back in Ned, we want him back for sure. So yeah, and it looks like Amanda, welcome. I believe you're the only member of the public on the call. So just wanted to say hello.
Representing, we love it.
Woohoo! Does everyone have the agenda?
Yes.
Did everyone get it by email? Sam, I know you're
I
in the
did,
car,
yeah.
but
I read
What?
through it already and prepped for it, so I did get it.
awesome. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So first, let's do the approval of the June minutes, which are linked in the agenda. Would anyone like to motion to approve those?
Motion to approve the June minutes.
Second.
Great. I have to call everyone on that, right? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
just because of the hybrid, it's cleaner to do it.
Right.
Call.
CT,
Approved.
Pat, approve. Alex,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
thank you. And thank you again to CT for taking minutes, and thank you to Alex for taking them this month.
Might have been a little too thorough. I don't know what standard is.
I mean, better to than,
I guess so.
I guess.
All in the interest of transparency.
Exactly. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is public comments. We have one more person called in. Would any member of the public, non-PROSAB board member, like to raise their hand to make a public comment? You totally don't have to, but if you would like to. All right. Well, if you change your mind, let us know. All right, cool. Next up is our informational items. First of which is staff report from Nikki Dunn, Parks Manager.
As Kat said, I'm Nikki Dunn, the Parks Manager, giving my staff report for the month of June to 2023. Whoa.
There goes Owl. Okay, Owl back.
Beyond break $1,000
Well, I was like getting my laptop. All right, I'm sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead.
that's okay.
Start again.
Put me on my toes here. Well, it's like,
It's happening.
Sorry, the lights went on.
Oh my goodness.
For those online. So
it is for running around the
the owl
Um,
takes its revenge.
Sorry, the lights just went on.
Owl was like, how
Is it like
dare
lack
you.
of motion? What happened?
It's a lot.
Apparently, although we're all like,
We tried to kill an owl.
I'm so sorry.
PROSAB, the Parks Board tried to kill an owl.
metaphorically
The
or?
lights went out.
Time.
I'm pretty sure we just got possessed, but I think we are back in order. All right, June 2023 staff report from the Parks Department. So in the month of June, Chipeta is, coming to life. So we have these maintenance issues that pop up every June, such as replacing broken swings, clearing the line that feeds the kids' fishing pond, which we actually ended up having to scope with a camera and to clear that line. It had gotten plugged with a perfect size rock, and it was we had to have a jet truck come down in and jet that line in order to get that flowing again. So it was pretty challenging, and it created about had about 3 months worth of problems for us, and it all happened during high water runoff. So, so that was, um, that was challenging. The drinking fountain had been destroyed by the transients. I thought for sure we were gonna have to get a new one, but thankfully my crew was able to fix that drinking fountain and perform our routine lawn care, which in the spring is fertilizing, aerating. We fertilize with DPP, which is dehydrated poultry product. So chicken poop. Chipeta Park is chemical free, FYI. And grass, weeds, everything. There's not a chemical to be used at Chipeta Park. June's wet weather was nice for the lawn, but made hosting our monthly soccer camp challenging. The water table was above the grass, so the kids were literally splashing through the mud in some places. The field was incredibly saturated most of the month of June, which I've never seen it that high for that long in my entire time with the town, and that includes when I was growing up. I don't remember the field ever being.
I've texted Don and Kurt. I think it's a breaker issue. We might have to chill in the dark for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can just.
I can read.
Eco-friendly.
So in the month of
Is that
June,
lights
the
go
Gercio,
out or something?
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don.
in the month of June, the Gercio Field irrigation is on its way to completion. We have since run into a couple of snafus that should be quickly repaired, hopefully by next week, but the irrigation is up. We no longer have to use the 5-gallon buckets to water trees. We can use a hose and do what we need to do. We've installed some drip lines and getting that on its way. Yes, we have to do that twice weekly, and so when we were doing it with 5-gallon buckets, that's a lot of trees and a lot of plants to water with a 5-gallon bucket. Each tree requires 15 gallons of water twice a week. So that was a lot of handwork. The field is finally showing life from the hydro seeding efforts, and the performance space has been graded in order to host some events there for the remainder of the summer. Because of the field being hydro seeded, we're trying to keep most of the heavy traffic off of it. And as of today, I have seen that the wildflowers that were part of the hydro seeding seed mix have come up. And they are starting to look really, really pretty down there. Still has some work to do, but we're working on it. So one of the things I learned in Bentonville was the joys of adding road base to your trails system. So we went through and added road base to all of the trails that are down there in Curcio. It's extra support for heavy loads, and it's also a weed or grass deterrent, keeps things from growing through it a little bit. Not better, but it's a nice supplement to the pressure fines that we use down there. Plans for the concrete ADA parking pad and bicycle parking are now in motion. The rink in the month of June proved to be a little more challenging than expected. A lot more challenging than I expected, actually, with differing opinions on how to proceed that popped up during the month of June. A much needed meeting between the town, PROSAB. Thank you, Alex, for coming to that. The rink and MTPA boards proved to be fruitful and was able to mediate the situation effectively. Before the transition to tennis was completed, staff brought the Zamboni to the public workshop to work on the hydraulic lines and other mechanical issues over the rest of the summer and the fall. Many of the issues that we're seeing are just the product of years of having no regular maintenance schedule and no one to perform said maintenance. And so it's now living at the shop where it can get some good love. And that is all for my staff report for the month of June 2023.
Any questions for Nikki?
Thanks for your hard work, Nikki.
Thank you.
Field's looking great.
Yeah, you got
Really
the
great.
kudos.
A
I think
huge
I-
amount of work and a huge payout for the town for years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you for saying so. It was and has been and will continue to be a challenge, but I choose to accept that challenge.
I think I saw some blanket flower blooming and I saw some Monarda, some bee balm. That was cool.
The front garden area.
Yeah, it's going bananas.
Is that not beautiful?
Yeah. it's
Good
really
job.
pretty. I took a picture of it
That
yesterday.
actually helped plant some of those flowers when
Well
that
done,
garden was a
well
new
done.
baby.
Long time ago.
Many years, many moons
Many
ago.
moons Cool. So, speaking of rank and tennis, Alex, you're next up with a summary of the meeting that you attended.
Yeah, I mean, Nikki and Miranda were there, so they can jump in as well on this, but figured, I think it stemmed from the last meeting, or maybe things boiled over based off your staff report at the last meeting, so thought I would provide everyone an update. The big, product coming out of it was alignment on, submitting a concept paper for a GoCo grant to comprehensively overhaul the entire rink tennis campus, which I believe Miranda submitted on.
Yeah, we
today.
tagged team, we finalized it, Nikki submitted it this morning.
Nikki submitted this morning.
Nice.
So,
Felt good.
yeah,
job, good.
amazing job to both of you. And got tennis and rink to weigh in, like circulated the draft to me. I weighed in as well as rink and tennis folks, so everyone seemed happy with it, and it sounded like you guys thought there was decent traction from GoCo, although we recognize we might need to submit multiple times. And then there would be just the question of matching funds, because Miranda says they're looking for at least 40%, probably. I mean, it's sliding. It
Yeah,
sounds
we
like.
actually asked Alex, who is we actually thought we'd lost our old GoCo rep, but she was just on maternity leave. So we talked to her, and she did not seem concerned with the 20% after all. So that's what's in the grant, is that we're asking GoCo for 80%. I think it ended up being like 81%, and then we're doing
The
19.
total grant is 1.23 million, with 2.3 of that coming from town tennis and pickleball and rink, and about $30,000 worth of in-kind work that would be done by Public Works.
So 2.3 being like
230,000,
30,000.
with 30,000 being in kind, so 200.
So
as the-
200.
With the thought that town would come with the 120, ideally from Tungsten and Eldora, and then Rink can come with the remainder.
Tungsten, I know. So that, okay.
It was in one of the things Miranda sent.
Yeah,
us.
no, that was
Yeah.
helpful. Okay, so that's,
And we should expect to hear back from GoCo on this particular round by August 9th.
And that's, they invite us to
That's where they
apply.
invite us to apply.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is submit a concept paper, and it was just kind of, 500 or so words.
Yeah.
And then if they like it, they say you're invited to apply, and that's a pretty good sign.
And one of our questions was, hey, or should we be concerned about going for planning plus construction? And she said, no, that's actually very common. And so we went full deal. Got some great pictures from rink and tennis.
Yep.
Did submit rinks kind of preliminary design, just because tennis's was too many extra pages. Just so there was an idea. I thought the narrative was great. Really appreciate it. Alex did an incredible job editing it.
no, I saw your red lights.
Came
They were
together
good.
so well. Yeah, not a ton of feedback from rink and tennis, just some really more historical corrections, which was helpful.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
Nikki took the lead, and I just helped to tie a few pieces together, and yeah, it was great.
I said, I feel like I wrote bullet points and you made sense out of everything, but it was a collaborative effort, and we did it.
Teamwork.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm
And,
proud of it.
it's so funny because when we met with Alex, we had already sent her the GoCo person. We'd already sent her the narrative, and she said to us, "Your narrative makes me want to go visit." And we're like, "Good, that's all. Pretty fast. Yeah, now you need to come. Like we haven't even seen pictures. We described it in such a way that she was like, "This place sounds incredible." And
Oh, wow.
that was the first thing she said to us. So
Yeah.
felt very good about that.
That's a really good
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And I feel like rink and tennis felt brought along in the process, which I think was some of the friction that had led to this meeting. I think rink felt like tennis felt like rink was getting information that they weren't getting. There's like a historic, somewhat contentious relationship between those two groups. So,
Gotcha.
and just, I think that's something I'm sure Nikki's going to continue to have to work through, but it's ultimately the town's asset. And though we appreciate their historical knowledge and expertise, it's the town's asset, and they relinquished their lease early. So
Mhm.
We did create a,
Please draw on us if you feel like you need backup in that sense.
we created a park advisor listserv that PROSAB is on, but you have to adhere to sunshine law. They don't. I want to make sure that's clear, that they can kick around emails as much as we want. But the agreement was if we were going to send an email, and even if it was just meant for rink, it's going to go to park advisors. And that then has all of the rink board, the tennis board, PROSAB, me and Nikki on it.
Great.
It was a great meeting. We came in and I could tell tensions were really high between rink and tennis, and tensions were high.
Wow.
And by the end of the meeting, Darren actually shook my hand and thanked me for it on Friday. And said,
Okay.
thank you so much. That's exactly what we needed. We just needed
To talk.
clarity, and we just needed to know that everybody's on the same page, aiming for the same goals. So,
That's awesome.
Well done.
yeah,
Best outcome.
yep.
And if you all, I had this on discussion and I'm happy to it then if there is discussion, but Alex had volunteered to be our, it's not like an official position, but Alex has volunteered to be our liaison to rink and tennis for conversations like this and, you know, to engage in the grant proposal or whatever that might mean. And I just wanted to see if anyone had questions about objections or like if there's any like or if anyone else wanted to do it, but I was super excited that she volunteered to do that. So Sam and CT, but I also don't want to just like make that decision without bringing it to the board. So I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions about that.
No questions, no objections. Thank you so much for volunteering.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
I'll
I
be
second that.
Done.
Awesome. Thank you both and thank you. Yeah. Cool. Well, we will take that off the
Sounds
agenda.
like y'all did a great job too in the first go round of doing
Yeah. Cool. And I had forgotten to keep time so far, but I will do that starting now. So sorry about that. So Sam, you're next with our pump track update. I put 10 minutes on. Is that enough for you?
Yeah, plenty.
All right.
Um,
Go for it. So I asked Sam for an update just because like they've been doing a lot of work. So would love to hear everything that's happening. Yeah, go for it, Sam.
So just a basic update at this point is, and Miranda, you can kind of help fill me in because there was a little bit of a fire drill this past week of just figuring out were we actually ready to sign for the design process. And so where we got to was that we were ready to sign to agree to have the American Ramp Company start the design process is where we got to, because that had all essentially passed through all the boards except for the final just BOT, I believe, budgetary approval. Miranda, can you chime in and just make sure I'm correct there?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously talked to the BOT, but the BOT needed to activate the funds, and how that works for the DEDAs. They have to go to the board of trustees and ask to utilize their TIF funds. And what happened is the spam got the better of us between ourselves. And Kate's email to me with the resolution went to my spam, and I didn't catch it until Tuesday night. So with no way we could get added to the agenda this week. And then the next meeting is obviously not until August 1st. Challenge is the way in which the agreement with American Ramp Company is that upon signing, you also submit payment. And I don't think that registered with any of us. I admittedly didn't read the contract because it wasn't a town contract, but it caused some concern amongst the DDA for not catching that. I called Drew yesterday from American Ramp Company and said, hey, we've got some challenges. And he was great. He was like, we'll work with you. And so we're looking to maybe do a 50-50 split where half the funds are paid now and half the funds are paid upon completion. The contract also talked a bit about additional considerations related to, you know, if there isn't a survey, then there's this cost. And if we can't do a survey, then we might need to bring drones in, and then there's this cost and all these supplemental costs. Well, the DDA only approved 10,000. So those supplemental costs, the DDA is not going to take those on. That comes back to PROSAB to figure out the funding of that. So I called Drew. I actually identified GIS files for Chiquita Park that I was shocked about, and just am waiting for Drew to tell us what I sent him is what he needed. Otherwise, our other ask is to remove the additional considerations from the contract. And if more money was needed for this, it'd have to come back really to the PROSAB board to decide, you know, are you going to spend the funds? Ron and I have talked a little bit throughout the day. Hi, Ron. The DDA, of course, had thought maybe they needed to call a special. I'm not sure that that's needed anymore, but Ron and I will talk more about that. But yeah, I think we're on the right path. Just, you know, again, with the finances, if they need some payment up front, that won't happen until after the 1st. You know, although Drew is willing to kind of get started a bit right now. I mean, he's so easy to work with. He was like, we'll figure it out. No big deal. So just a couple more like logistical hoops to jump through.
That's the
Yeah.
filter.
Thank you, Miranda, for the clarification for everybody. So essentially, we've got the design process kicking off, and we're figuring out the final pieces of the sort of details, admin side of funding, and then we'll be into the design phase. And once we have the details like that officially kicked off, we should have a timeline of there should be some public input stuff and things like that happening for what kind of features would you like to see, all that aspect of it. And then we'll get those, once I have those, I'll send them to everybody so that we can get those put out so, you know, the boards and the public and everybody can participate. And that's really where we're at this point.
The
And
only
we're in
thing I
the
would say,
design
oh,
phase,
sorry,
kind of.
Sam.
Sorry, what did you say, Sam, there at the end?
I said we're in the design phase, kind of, like starting it.
The only thing I would say that the concern I've heard from some people on a variety of different boards and
Yeah,
commissions is, well, you were supposed to evaluate other locations, and this, what American Ramp's about to do is a design for Chipeta. They're not doing a design to go sit somewhere else. It is for Chipeta. So I think PROSAB either needs to come out with your official declarative statement of like, this is what we're doing and here's why, or you need to pull back because you don't technically have full buy-in of the location. And I do worry about how that's gonna come back at you, that you didn't do the pro-con list, you didn't do the things people asked you to do about why is Chipeta the location. And maybe you take the next 2 weeks to formalize a statement about why it is that. Otherwise, that is something you need to prepare for blowback on.
What would
Yeah,
the,
and I'm open to that because in the last rounds of meetings, people were asking about what about other locations, and essentially this is kind of the meeting PROSAB wise for us to have a chat and go like, do we think Chipeta is the final location? I mean, honestly, I'm open. It sounded like Chipeta is the one that makes the most sense in all of our discussions and looking around, but I'm pretty open-minded about it. And maybe we should start with Nikki, just asking Nikki what she thinks.
Can I just jump in super quick? Peter's about to do an Engage Nederland page, like it's a dedicated thing. So you can always release your PROSAB statement on there, but what an ask has been of you to make a pro-con list of everything you evaluated. But time and time we've said Nikki really champions this, but I think you have to be ready to defend this decision.
Absolutely, and I would totally be willing to help you defend that, Sam, with some pros and cons of each different location. But you can't just say to the town people, well, Nikki said. You have to give them reasons and I would definitely help you come up with those lists and reasons and defenses of some of the comments that I've already seen coming our way.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah, that'd
be helpful because that's the one piece of the puzzle that we sort of run into
Yeah.
along this process right at the end of it, where there was like just a ton of questions about that came up. And so I'm happy to address it and you know, really hold off on truly any design engagement until we do that. So
yeah, Sam.
I could meet with you this week too, Nikki.
Yeah, Sam, this is Kat. I was gonna ask kind of, what were your thoughts on sort of addressing like a lot of the questions and concerns and like even some misinformation. I've seen quite a lot of misinformation about the project, which makes me sad, but is, you know, it happens. And I was wondering, like, I think what you guys were talking about, like a pro-con sort of rundown, I think is really smart. I also think that like, and this is like just my own personal idea, but like maybe some sort of like, maybe some sort of like FAQ about the project. Yes. So I feel like Jesse has done a good idea in like meeting settings, clarifying that this is not existing town money, it would be new revenue, et cetera. It's like a bunch of stuff, but I feel like having some sort of like, you know, scrollable FAQ about like, you know, just the top maybe 5 or 6 things that we think people should know about the project.
Yeah. I
Might
love it.
be helpful.
Yeah. Like
If you
similar to
happen
what
to
we
run with that idea, and we'll go ahead and put that together as far as like the project itself. And then as far as location goes, I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm not sure. I mean, we can go if you want, and we can go look around again at other spots. And
I think CT.
it kind of came up at the end of the process, which was the thing. Like the last 1 or 2 meetings we went to.
CT,
So we were
what
like,
do you
oh,
know?
cool, and then what's that?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, CT was trying to talk, so.
I was
Oh,
just
go
gonna say, in the more than a year I've been on PROSAB, the location of this has been a constant topic of discussion. So although there may have not have been a formal vote on exactly where this needs to happen, there has been a robust public discussion about it. I'm not weighing in one way or the other. I'm just saying that this is hardly a surprise for the folks that have kept their ear to it.
Well, you're never gonna get unanimous support
Ever.
too. I mean, that's
Well, and we
ready as a
ahead.
PROSAB board to make your official commitment, and you need to make your official commitment by Friday, so we can get it in the packet. When the money gets approved from the DDA, we also need to get ahead of that narrative.
It's approved.
Right, but the BT has to approve your resolution.
Okay.
And I think you need to be ready as PROSAB to say, we understand American Ramp is designing Chipeta, and here's why we are backing it.
Yeah.
But that is the place of the design.
I think that goes in the FAQs, like, why did you pick, is it tied to a location? Yes, it's tied to Chipeta. Why did you pick Chipeta? And Nikki partners with Sam and Jesse to form that, because we knew when we did the design, I remember asking the question, Sam, is this tied to a specific location?
Exactly.
And you said, yes, we
And
knew
there was a
that.
picture.
Yeah, we knew that from the beginning. This isn't transferable
Yeah.
to, Caribou or whatever.
Yeah, I
Right.
do think it would, for our own sort of like, because I think that, and this could go in the FAQ or the pro and con or what have you, like, because I do think, I think it was I don't remember if it was at the public engagement town hall or if it was a BOT meeting I listened to, but Nikki did kind of lay out some of the pros and cons verbally, and I found it really compelling in terms of Chipeta versus like up at the rink, but I don't know enough about the area up there. Like, I know it's not as central and accessible, but I don't know enough about like the parking and the land space and all of that. Like, I think it would just be super helpful to know a little bit more about like, like why Chipeta versus that. Anyway, so.
Yeah,
like,
I'm totally open to that, and I'm absolutely open to getting that done this week too, like early in the week, even kind of knocking out the initial stuff essentially over the weekend a little, so that we have it ready to go, and I can go jump in with Nikki while she's driving around doing other stuff, and we can figure out a more robust version of it, and then put it out for everybody. How do y'all feel about supporting it as far as Chipeta goes from a PROSAB standpoint? Do we want to like look at those pros and cons in full first? I mean, that maybe makes a little sense, even if it's by email, or I'm not sure. And then what we should do there. I'm a little bit at a loss, to be honest, at this stage. As far as
I mean, I feel like we've gone through the pros and like CT is saying, we talked about the location, and I largely defer. I'm not going to say this is Nikki's idea to the public.
Yeah.
The public could be listening to this call. I defer to Nikki as the expert, and I found her reasons compelling. So I'm fine adopting those reasons as PROSAB's reasons, open to others' thoughts, but given that we've discussed it as a board multiple times.
And I will say, with the presentations that we gave at all the boards, it was very clear that this is the intention was this spot.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And
it was
when we
not, it was
voted
like,
on
here's a
it,
picture.
when we voted on it, it was
Just
at a
clear.
specific location. So I think I'm not saying I'm against the idea of like taking a pause and reviewing, but I agree with Alex that we were pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway, but CT, you have the most knowledge besides so I would love to know what you think.
I just feel that this has been fleshed out in terms of location. And again, I'm not weighing in or anything like that, but, we've looked at what is now Moose Meadows. We've looked at the area next to the
Frank?
Rick, thank you. In terms of parking, central location, not being in a environmentally sensitive area necessarily, this made the most sense. So while I appreciate some people maybe kind of coming into the discussion saying, oh, wait a second, why aren't we planning for all these other places? We've already really had a lot of these talks over time. And I'd be comfortable saying, if we're going to make a plan, let's make it for where we know it could work conceivably.
And I would say your official PROSAB kind of endorsement is needed. I kind of want to protect the DDA a little bit too, that they said, yeah, we're going to give you the money to design, but they didn't then say, but you're only designing Chipeta. They said, you as PROSAB now decide. That's how I interpret it. You as PROSAB decide where you're going to design it. So I think that's where we really need, before they activate their money, PROSAB's made that official statement of Chipeta is it.
But we already did that when we voted on it, because we voted specifically to like have it go forward at, like, there was a whole design on the, like, there was a specific, like, it was specifically at Chipeta Park was what we voted on.
And I think, Sam, I think that some of the presentations made it come across like other locations would be evaluated. So while yes, PROSAB voted on it, subsequent presentations have said, yeah, we'll consider it. So, and I'm not saying that I don't think Sam was like blowing smoke. I think that Sam was saying, yes, we'll consider it. But I think at the end of the day, you have to considered it. And now here we are after running it through the MPP. We've considered how you feel, but we're still sticking with Chipeta, and here is why.
Yeah.
And so,
And I do think like laying out the sort of like, it went through like a year or plus of discussions. Here were sort of the like pros and cons and the yeses and the nos. And I think it's certainly not gonna make everyone agree, but I do think it'll be helpful for the public to know that this was really seriously discussed and debated, and a lot of people weighed in over many, many months.
Sam, oh, sorry. My idea, Sam, is that next week I will start an email to you that just lays out some of the pros and cons of some of the different locations. If you feel like I need to add to it or give you more information, please feel free to reach out.
Well, I guess I will say, even in things where other locations were evaluated, there was verbal conversation. And I never really walked away from the meeting feeling like, it was like, yeah, okay. It was like, yeah, we will, but it's okay for it to go back to the original plan. It always was. I just think, super strong messaging, super strong marketing, getting ahead of it so that when the board approves the DDA's resolution, there's no question about what we're doing. And that there's also this understanding between the DDA and PROSAB that they're funding the design of Chipeta Park.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, what's needed from PROSAB to move forward on the planning today?
The DDA is under the impression you're doing it at Chipeta Park.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm just not sure the community, I'm just not sure that message has been strong enough out there in the world. I think there's an understanding between the DDA and PROSAB, but
So it sounds like Nikki and Sam will work on that together, I would imagine. And then like within the bounds of Sunshine Law, I guess, let us know if you need anything from the rest of us, Sam.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm happy to do that because I know the messaging. I've intentionally stayed off of like netheads and stuff like that, but I've been told that there's like lots of going through the process.
Yeah.
Going through this process and kind of head down with it in that way, and people are welcome to show up at the meetings, and then I think now it is appropriate to really put it out there clearly at this stage before we move into actual design.
All right. So yeah, if you want to take
I'm
a
with
quick and then just let us know if there's anything you need from us. In the meantime.
maybe I need to adjust your timeline a little bit better.
Hear from me Wednesday next week, just whenever Nikki's able to get that to me, and I don't want to put too much pressure on her because she's got a lot going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it needs to get done by Thursday. I think Peter and I need to launch it social media wise before the packet ever happens. It needs to have already been out.
Or that's a week.
Yeah, not today. A week from today, and I know that's tight, but I don't want it
No,
to
that's
go
fine. I can, on my end, I can absolutely commit to that.
Okay.
Great.
One quick
Oh, yes. Sorry, Ron. Yes.
item that I like is that I've been involved in a lot of kids' activities. There's always accidents, and this is a block from a clinic. Chippewa
Oh,
Park.
thanks, Ron.
That's
That's a
Sam,
good
just so you
point.
know, Ron's in the room with us, and Ron is now the chair of the DDA, just so everyone knows.
Oh,
Congratulations to
That's
Ron.
a great point, Rod.
Yeah,
Well, I'm looking for ways to get this done.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think having emergency services for kids if there's crashes real close by makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ron, that's all. I think the DDA necessary. We can talk more about it, but I don't think they need a special. I think we all have, we know what's, and
That's
Drew's
personal,
gonna,
that's nobody
Okay.
else's.
Yeah,
idea.
cool.
yeah. Amanda has questions for us. We're ready. I don't run this meeting, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to
So we're over time on this informational item, but if it's okay with everyone, because this is a good discussion, can we extend for about another 5 minutes and then we'll, and take the questions and then we'll move on from there?
And I don't think I need 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right, Amanda, go for it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I know that this might be redundant for some people. This is the problem of me jumping in to one of these meetings for the first time. I just want to make sure I understand what exactly this project is that you guys are talking about. Can you guys explain it to me in your own words?
Sam, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, happy to. If I drop off it, I'll just, you guys can take it up, but I think that should be good for a sec. The project is, our goal is to get a pump track built, like a bike style pump track built in the town of Nederland. That's it. Does that
Okay.
make sense? I mean, I can go into detail, but it's a bike style pump track built in the town of Nederland.
Okay. Bikes. Okay. Thank you. No, sorry. I'm not a frequent biker. So I'm thinking
Sure.
I'm thinking sanitary system when I hear pump track. So I just wanted to know what was going on.
I put a picture in the
Absolutely.
chat.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Okay. I see that now. Thank you so
And-
much.
Yeah. And Amanda,
Just a heads up,
if you go to the agenda for the June 6th Board of Trustees meeting, there was like a whole kind of PowerPoint presentation and a bunch of information there, which I'm sure Sam could also just forward, but it's in the agenda
Absolutely.
packet for the June 6th meeting.
June 6th meeting. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's how
And
I.
I'm just a heads up, I'm driving into Glenwood Canyon, so I'll probably lose you here in a moment, and then I'll pop back on.
All
On the
right.
other
But
side.
thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for giving me the
Yeah.
what that is.
Amanda, I also dropped a link to the website where they have a petition. And if you click on the NDDA presentation in the upper right-hand corner, there's a lot of great information about it there as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, ladies. Thank you.
So can I ask a governance question? So if Sam drops off when he gets in the canyon, we no longer have quorum? Can we keep doing like non-action itemy stuff?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can make an action.
Perfect. All right, Sam, let
I'll
us
be
know. when
back
you're
at the end. I'll pop back on. I still have some service, so I'm good at the moment.
Fabulous. Yeah, anything else related to pump track fun?
I think I'll get Peter up to speed, letting him know what our timeline is.
Okay.
So that he can he already has kind of the framework for Engage Nederland. And then Engage Nederland is also the platform that we would encourage people to go in and give their comments there. While we love social media comments, we're really gonna drive people to that website. We love them, with quotes. We'd like them to go to this site so that we can have and it'll have like who to call, how you get in touch with us, who are the staff members behind this.
Yeah. I do think the social media threads have a lot of good fodder for the like FAQ and the pros and cons though, because there are a lot of really good questions just from people who didn't know about didn't know.
Well,
what's
I
happening.
literally never look. And so if there's something that I need to address, you'll
Yeah.
have to bring it to my attention because I will not refuse to.
Peter and I are gonna take a bit more of a proactive approach to Facebook. But again, our intention is going to be, most of our responses back to you are, cool, have you checked out Engage Nederland? Like, cool, have you checked out our website? And really trying to get people to come back to the environments where we have the most information than trying to do this like quick little one-off comments or just not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nikki, I don't think it's anything like you particularly have to address. I would think it'd be more like the folks spearheading the project and like that sort of, it was like, and the rest of us.
To be fair, like I've seen some of the comments. My brother
Social media arguing.
screenshot them and sent them to
Sorry,
me.
what'd you say, Sam?
Oh, I've seen some of the commentary and questions and stuff. My brother, he'll occasionally screenshot it since I left the group Netheads on purpose for that stuff and be like, hey, and action over here, you know? So
Yeah.
I think there is value in, like, that is a place where people are going. And so we can use that as a way to address the questions and concerns, which I think makes a ton of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
use those screenshots.
All right. Thanks, Sam. So the next thing we had was Miranda was gonna like fill us in on what the various funds are, but she emailed all of that to us. So maybe we can just see, does anyone have questions on what she sent around? Or want to take a sec to look at what those words are?
I'm happy to just do a super fast overview.
That would be great.
So there's 3 funds that the town would go to PROSAB for, to ask for your blessing,
Yes.
your official vote to use them. So the first is the Conservation Trust Fund. So the Conservation Trust Fund is funds that the town receives from the Department of Local Affairs. It's got a pretty open-ended, but specifically it's for acquisition, development, maintenance of new conservation sites or for capital improvement or maintenance of for recreational purposes on public. So pretty broad. We carry over typically around $20,000 to $25,000 annually is what we see from that. Last year, PROSAB approved it for the what is it?
The Gator.
The Gator.
XUV Gator.
This year, PROSAB really hasn't used it, but when Jesse and Nikki went to Bentonville, it would have exhausted Nikki's entire training budget. So you did approve her to use a little over $1,600 for that, leaving $25,309. Nikki has an ask about that. We really try to use that for extra support for the Parks Department. That's not necessarily like the grant match world. That's really supplemental to keep her going. However, with marijuana coming down the pipeline, you may be able to use that in different fashion.
And that's use it or lose it?
No, it just keeps rolling.
Oh, okay.
This is not a use it or lose it. We'll just roll it into the next year.
Okay.
And it can't go into the like general fund reserves. This is the committed fund. So it's only ever going to get rolled into future years. You know, and so there's benefit in holding it. There's also benefit in using it. You know, you really have to kind of decide from year to year. But if you know you're ramping up, say for a large project in 2025, you might want to just let this fund build for a while before you use it.
Okay.
Eldora funds, I didn't get a chance to look at the year, but do you know the year Eldora rented
18?
Gershio?
Oh,
It was
At
COVID
some point.
2020.
I don't know if you know the year, Ron, but
pre-COVID.
Eldora rented Gershio for parking. They paid the town $36,500 and it's just been sitting. No use. I think a lot of that's a good amount for maybe a match for a grant, but it's just been sitting and available, but it was earmarked for parks improvement. Again, very open language. Tungsten Village Development Agreement. This is what we talked about last time when Jesse and Tanya brought their proposal. Tungsten Village paid the town $110,448 in lieu of dedication for public use. Gets a little tricky because at the time that happened, there was language kind of about how it should be dedicated to parks, schools, or other public purposes that the BOT can determine. The code language has since changed because we did a repeal and replace of chapter 17. So I put exactly what's in here. But again, it's still really for parks, open space, recreation, or other municipal services if the Board of Trustees wants to, you know, put those funds elsewhere. But I think the board's always been pretty hard and committed to this is for parks, this is for parks, recreation, open space.
But it could be any parks, recreation, or
Right,
open
but it's
space.
such a big amount that I think we've always felt like this is not when you just like take a little bit, take a little bit, take a little bit. This is your heavy match
Yeah.
coming into a GoCo. This is the money you need for your $1 million projects. This is your match. in
And
many
this is
ways.
what you guys are eyeballing for the match for GoCo.
This is what we're eyeballing for the match for GoCo. This is
Amerigas.
also, you know, maybe Sunday was for Amerigas. We talked about that, but you know, if we're going for a $1.2 million grant for GoCo, this is our match.
Yeah, how
This
much-
and Eldora.
You said you'd need 200,000 for that, right?
Right, so
For the
we were gonna
match.
come with 120, so that was to use
This
a
plus
combination
some
of
Eldora.
Tungsten Village Development Agreement funds plus Eldora
Okay.
for the town.
What is this, the GoCo match is for what project?
The rink tennis redevelopment.
That we talked about.
The
Okay.
one from
Yeah, yeah.
earlier,
All right.
the concept paper.
But it's always just sat there, because I think the the agreement was it wasn't 4-year small scale plans and it was always gonna stay pretty whole and then it was just gonna get plugged into a match.
Well, and it sounded like we'll know by August 9th if we have like a really good chance of
Round one.
that too, so.
Round
Yeah.
one.
And it doesn't mean, again, we had to kind of do a rough draft proposal, right? If we get invited to apply, we have to go to the board of trustees to officially make that ask of, hey, we want to use this money. We threw it together, just giving Coco a general idea of what it would cost budget wise. But no guarantee the board would even approve that. We would need, of course, PROSAB to endorse us saying, we want to take the entire Tungsten Village and apply it to the rink tennis court site.
Yeah.
That I know some people have, again, talked about it for AmeriGas, but there may be other options there. There's a lot of land acquisition funding available. So I think it's, really just taking into consideration, what's the best way to use these funds? And I think Trustee Coombs Ismail was very passionate too, that these are grant match funds. They should be kept as grant match funds. Because the town just never has it. We always have to like scramble for matches.
That's your time.
That's my time. That's all I got to say. Yeah, so happy to answer questions about that, but wanted to put it in writing versus trying to verbally go over all that, so
Yeah.
you have it now.
And on
Super helpful.
marijuana, like, in theory, we exhaust Tungsten Village and Eldora on a grant match. But in theory, we're taking in way more money funding parks with marijuana, so it's
Yeah.
like not as big of a deal.
I actually have some preliminary I have marijuana figures up through June.
No, I haven't.
Marijuana through June,
Like January through June.
January through June. Rita highlighted it because so we budgeted $30,000 for the entire year, and up through June, we brought in 22,659.
Sweet.
Again, no fund is there. And it's probably unlikely that fund will get created this year. There's just a lot going on. We just like to build the fund and we'll put it in the 2024 budget. Rita and I don't have the capacity to come with yet another supplemental. But if you're trending like that, you might be looking at more like $45,000. 30 was a shot in the dark. So it's a great fund to use for parks. And again, the way that fund was written was for parks maintenance. I know Trustee Corbon asked could it be used for staff. Sure, but I don't recommend that. I believe that staffing for parks should come out of the general fund, not a marijuana fund. Let that fund build, just like conservation trust fund, let it build and use it for maintenance and other things.
Big ticket stuff.
Yeah, but over a few years, you've rematched the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
have an actual like income stream
Revenue
for
stream.
parks
Right,
coming in.
So even, to your point, even if you use tungsten, it could take you 2 to 3
2
years to
years,
bring
yeah.
that right back into place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sweet. All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to tell you, I'm very deaf. So if it appears I'm staring at you for some reason, I'm reading your lips.
Nice.
Because I do have augmented hearing, but it's not enough. And that's why I get close to the speaker. That's why I move. So don't worry that
Got
while
it.
I'm staring
No,
at you,
thank you.
that's how I hear you, is look at you.
Lip reading.
I appreciate that and totally get it. So thank you. All right. So I think we're done with info items. Let's skip that first since we already did that. We appear to still have Sam.
Yeah, I'm still here. Glenwood, I was like surprised. Service all the way through pretty much.
I know. I was actually, hey, Sam, do you think you'll have like another 5 or 10 minutes before we lose you?
Yeah, in fact, that might be good the whole way. I think we're on the other side at this point, pretty much.
Okay, we're just gonna skip to the action items just to make sure we can get
Sure.
those. So the first action item, is, regarding the open PROSAB seat. So, there's some background to this, but as we know, Jason resigned. Casey is currently our, alternate on PROSAB, and at the last meeting, we had the idea that we could vote to recommend to the BOT that she take Jason's seat, and then we put an application out for a new alternate. So that's what I would like to, and she's not here, but she and I talked about this and she's in favor of it and said it was cool to do this even though she wasn't here. So that is actually what I wanted to ask people to vote on tonight, to recommend Casey take our permanent seat on the BOT. I'm sorry, take our recommend to the BOT that Casey take the permanent seat on PROSAB or the full seat. And then we open up an application for an alternate. So I would like to first that vote or what?
Raise the motion.
Raise the motion. Would anyone second that?
Second.
I'll second that.
All right.
Go ahead.
So CT seconded, but let's do a roll call. So Sam,
Yes.
I always write this down. Kat, yes. Alex,
Yes.
CT.
Aye. Yes.
Sweet.
We won't, because the board has to like, I don't know, the word, yeah, approve that approval. We won't be able to release the vacancy until August 2nd
Okay.
for the alternate.
Right. I will let CT know and we will.
Casey.
Casey.
I'm CT.
I
You
am
have
having,
to let TT know.
I missed my second cup of coffee this
Andy.
morning, so if anyone. Okay, so the second action item is a bit more involved, so I'm gonna turn this over to Nikki and Miranda, and this is their request. So I'm gonna turn this over to them. You guys do have 15 minutes on here if you need it. So I will start the timer, but including like to get to the vote and stuff, if you will. So go for it.
All right, so in the interest of continuing motions forward and continuing to be able to check my boxes, we, as a collaborative group with the rink and MTPA and the town and PROSAB, discussed that some of the things that need to happen at the rink under general maintenance do not need to fall in this GOCO grant. One of the things that needs to happen in the general maintenance category is the removal of the surface of the rink and then resurfacing the entire tennis court and pickleball court. In order to make that happen, it will happen in a 2-year process. The first year being this year, what really needs to happen immediately is that surface needs to be removed. It is a danger. It is completely fallen apart. If you go up there or if you are familiar with it at all, the surface of the tennis court and pickleball area has actually started to disintegrate to the point that when you put the ice surface down, the tennis courts comes up through the ice. So I need to remove this surface. It's a safety hazard. You can't actually even play tennis on 2 of the 3 courts. And one of the courts, we're just kind of making do with it. The idea would be to, this year, we remove the painted surface, put in some temporary painted lines, bring it down to the concrete, bring it down to bare bones. Next year, the goal is, and I'll be coming to PROSAB again next year, but the goal is to, what we would do is shot put the surface, or shot blast the surface, which is a process similar to sandblasting. It is like steel balls instead of sand. So they shoot the surface and that actually smooths the surface, takes out the imperfections. So they would shot blast and then they would resurface, but that process won't happen until next year. That is going to be an expenditure. Expenditure. So this year my ask is, I need $17,500 in order to remove the surface. It's expensive because they will make sure that it's environmentally friendly. They're not gonna let that paint hit our world. So, they, will actually come in and grind down the paint in the surface and collect it and put it into dumpsters and have it removed. That portion of this process is $17,500. Of that money, I am requesting that $10,000 comes out of our conservation fund for this year. $7,500 would come out of my parks maintenance budget. My request of PROSAB is, may I please use the conservation fund, general fund 30/30/52/14 in order to pay for this process.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The surface removal, that's something that isn't going to be rendered irrelevant by whatever goes on with the GoCo grant. We would need to do that
Regardless,
Yeah.
yes. So this, no matter what, that piece of it is not going into the GoCo grant. It's a
Mhm.
piece of maintenance.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to ask GoCo for money for maintenance. So we're asking GoCo for design and rebuild. And so the maintenance pieces of it really, and we knew this was coming with us adopting the rink and tennis park, that we were gonna face some immediate, serious maintenance nightmares. And this was the first one. I really tried to see if my staff could do it. Could we rent the equipment? Could we do it ourselves? We tried several different processes. We tried water blasting, we tried we tried just scraping it off. We tried many things. The grinder that we would need to remove this surface is actually closer to $7,500 just in itself, so it's not, I mean, and to find one that's used, so it actually makes sense for me to hire somebody who knows what they're doing, who's gonna do it right. This is not mine or my staff's area of expertise. We don't do concrete work, well, a little bit, but not large scale like this. So I need it done, and I need it done well, and I need it done in a process that will allow this to last for years to come.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this the, so you already have like a bid and a company, or how?
Yes, so there's two in the Denver metro area. So basically for us, that's everybody.
Yeah.
There are two companies that do surfaces for the rink. And both of them go to this company to remove the surface.
Oh, yeah.
So this company is called Stone Tech. They're reputable, called out by both of the other quotes that I got from both Coatings and Renner, who are the premier tennis court people in the Denver metro area. So Stone Tech is kind of like, that's my shot. And Kurt came up from Stone Tech and he met me up there, and we had a actually wonderful conversation. We're both from a similar area in the Midwest. And so, we got along fabulously, and, this is actually a heck of a deal. So, I'm pleased with this quote, not thrilled, because ouch, but, yeah. But yes, I'm pleased with this quote. So now what you have to understand is I'm asking this year for the $17,500 to remove the surface. Then next year I'll be asking for another $15,700 to do the shop blast. As well as next year, the resurfacing, those quotes are coming into me right around $30,000. So we're looking at spending $60,000 on pickleball and tennis courts. So in considering that, I need to figure out how we can make money up there during the summer.
Yeah.
So the biggest, our favorite idea right now is to do community movie nights, and also to do disco roller nights. So you bring your roller skates or roller blades, and I've been told by both Stone Tech and Renner and Coatings that that is absolutely possible, that our roller skates aren't gonna wreck the surface of a tennis court. So
And you'll need to remove the surface before doing those things.
I'll
is
need
what
to
you're
remove the
saying.
surface.
Got
I
it.
need to remove the surface to make money at the courts.
Got it.
Yep.
I don't dispute that this is a project that ought to happen, and that the quote that you've come up with may be the best deal for it. I will say that conservation projects and getting money to do conservation work is like pulling teeth, very difficult. This money's been set aside, it's been earmarked for conservation. There's a lot of conservation work that we could be doing in town and art. And so using this for pickleball and tennis makes me uncomfortable, and making a commitment now that will last for years.
I think that my point, or that my, I guess, kind of come back to that would be that, what we're doing is conserving a lifestyle, that we're conserving the atmosphere, the general feel of that, and we're also conserving parks revenue by resurfacing. People are incredibly happy up there to be up there in a beautiful space. And if we don't save it, we're going to lose it. So how better to spend conservation funds by conserving something?
I want to know too that yes, conservation, I think the fund itself is a little misleading in its name. It's, yes, it's for conservation, but it also says, or the capital improvements or maintenance of recreational sites. That's what this is. And so this is a capital improvement. I mean, it's always going to be as such, it was such a large take, but it is the maintenance side of this of a recreational purpose.
I think we will always be able to find ways to use money set aside for conservation, which are very difficult to establish for other priorities. I admit this is a great priority. I love it. I think it's excellent. I think there's other things that we could be doing that would help preserve the natural spaces around town that are of a higher priority. That's my opinion.
Sam, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm generally for it. I mean, it's like we got to maintain what we got, and this is the way to do it. And you know, I do defer to Nikki in this way. She does her homework around this stuff to make sure that she's doing it the best way she can with what we've got at the moment. So I'm for it.
I do want to add too, and you all weren't on the board, but when we went to PROSAB and we're like, Rink and Tennis want us to take them over, but it's going to come at a cost. I mean, there was a very huge understanding that if we decided to step in this capacity, it wasn't going to be for free, and that the town was going to take financial hits in doing it for a long-term gain for not only the community, but a lot of other recreational programming. But again, that was a different board and we understand that, but that was a very large part of us taking this on and knowing the implications of doing so.
So if I can get it, the surface that we have now has been there since the rink was developed in 2005. It has, however, never had a regular staff. It's never had people to maintain and take care of it. So the surface itself lasted 18 years. It is my opinion that if we resurface this area now, that the surface could last even longer. And, you know, it is hopeful that when we get this GoCo grant and move the tennis courts out from under the surface of the ice, now we're not gonna have that problem of the ice being on top of it at all.
And CT, I don't know if this makes you feel any, but I would say we're looking for 10,000, leaving an additional 15,000. We exhausted the entire conservation trust fund that was budgeted last year and then came into this year with 25,000. So it's not like it's not like Eldora or Tungsten where when that money goes away, that money goes away. This is a reoccurring fund that, you know, if say even you chose you wanted to hold the 15,000, you maybe could go into next year with 40. I mean, there are some options, and I don't know if that makes you feel any better or changes your perspective, but just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. Does sound like we could have conversations about what for next year though, for sure.
Well, that's actually never happened. I mean, ideally when we go into budgeting season, it'd be great to know how those funds are to be spent versus our in the middle of the year ask plea of like, we really need this. It would be great for the board as well to know that we already have an idea of the plan for the funds.
So we got 3 minutes left. Are there other questions or should we?
I was just gonna note.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, public comment. I
Oh.
want to go back to the pump track. Just
Oh.
another reason.
We've got to wrap this up. We can circle back to that after.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, sorry, just any questions or comments on this particular
I
action
think
item?
Amanda has a question.
Oh, I was going to ask about a previous action item, if that's okay.
Do you want to hold this?
Yeah, let's
Hold
vote
on that, so we can finish this particular action item.
All right.
And we can come back to your question, okay?
I'll note that this is also affecting the ice rink as well because the surface is coming through the ice, so it's not just pickleball and tennis and.
Nope.
Okay.
It's affecting everything.
And I will move to approve the use of the $10,000 conservation easement trust funds for the removal of the tennis surface.
I will second that.
I apologize. I have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
You
we
can,
will,
you can have deliberation after a motion. and a
Does this
second,
need to
so.
be unanimous
No.
amidst the quorum? Okay.
Me up to 3 in your current situation. 2 defaults to a no, if it's flipped.
Okay.
You want to
Was
do it
that your
again?
only
Yeah, sorry.
question?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun.
Not at all.
You're totally good.
Motion to approve the use of the conservation easement funds for the tennis surface removal.
I will second that motion. All right. Alex,
Yes.
Sam,
Yep.
Kat, yes, CT.
Be respected as priority, I vote no.
Great, motion passes 3 out of 4. No, I very much appreciate your feedback and guidance, so.
I
Respect.
mean, I'd love
over-
to talk about what conservation looks like, because.
I know, I was like, let's talk about what this is next year.
Yeah, it's a parks department, they're not conservation department, so I'm like struggling with how we integrate those two, but we don't need to talk about that now.
Certain-
Yeah,
But maybe we could have a budget conversation.
Yeah,
And outlining some priorities specifically in line with conservation efforts that we could take on and earmark and get.
Totally. Well, and you know, one of the things, it wasn't the very top, but one of the things on our goals that did, you know, get up there decently was the idea of conservation easements, which will, I think, maybe they cost money. Anyway, that related to like land, because
Preserving
you can
public
use the land,
lands.
could be used for land acquisition. So anyway, I think there's a lot of potential there for sure. So, and I would be very excited to have a conversation about that.
Great.
So, let's see.
yeah, the Ron on.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry. Yeah. So Ron and then, I'm sorry, Amanda?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, sorry, Ron, what was your
Oh, it's
question
just
on the food
another-
truck?
Reason to put the pump cart or the pump track on Chippy Park is that, if it was anywhere else, the DDA couldn't help you because the projects have to be within the DDA boundaries. It's very few.
No.
Good point.
I'm so glad you're here, Ron.
Wait, is Rankin Tennis
Yeah, I
not
got
in the
you.
DD? Oh, you're right.
No, Rankin Tennis are not in the
gosh.
district.
We cannot expend funds if it's not in our district.
Well,
The
dang,
real-
that's a good point.
That's
So,
pretty much seal the deal.
I don't know if that's compelling to the public though,
Oh,
so
No,
I need to
it's
come up
true.
with something else about.
But I think that could also
It's
use
just
to
part of
explain why they
Yeah,
funded
take
it,
yeah.
because it's in, the design area location is within their district.
Right.
and
Yeah.
we queried our, voter base, and you have a high level of support in the business community, so.
Nice.
People who stand up and rant about how bad it is. Our folks are not silent, but you're supported heavily by the business community.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Amanda, what was your question?
So I'd like to revisit the open PROSAB seat. I'm just curious about is there an application process? Is it a voting process? How does someone get appointed to this board?
Sure. So the primary way is through an open application process. The town would release sort of notice of a seat being open with the application. And then there's a certain time period by which applications are due, and then those would come to PROSAB. We would review them and vote on who we wanted to recommend that the Board of Trustees appoint. So we have advisory powers, not actual appointing powers. So we make that recommendation, and then the Board of Trustees ultimately makes the decision about who gets appointed. For the current open seat, we have an alternate, we also have an alternate seat. And so one of our current alternate expressed interest in the open position. And so our current recommendation for that specific seat to the Board of Trustees is that she move over to that seat, and then we open the application process for the alternate. I'm not sure that made any sense. Sorry, did that help?
No, I think it does. So you guys had someone who's ready to fill this position already. So now you're opening the application process for someone to now be the backup. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So,
And that's ultimately up to the BOT, but that's our advice to them.
and that's Board of Trustees, BOT.
Correct. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. Acronyms are not my friend. So I always like to make sure.
Welcome to government.
And then if you cover more government, they will become your friend.
We should run through that one.
So when will you release the alternate application?
So I will put Casey before the Board of Trustees for appointment as a regular board member on August 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll release a request for proposal or request for applications on August 2nd with a due date of August 23rd.
Okay. Alrighty, I'm finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. We appreciate them. Okie dokie, friends. So that is our action items for the evening. So I think we really have the 2 discussion items left since, I'm not sure where Jesse is, but he had a discussion item, but he's not able to be here, I don't think. So I suspect we'll do that in August instead. Hopefully, so. Okay, so why don't we do the compensation study just real quick, and then we can dig into goals after that. Does that work with everybody?
Yep.
So per our new habit of sharing upcoming BOT agenda items, to see if anybody had questions. Huh?
That was me, sorry.
Oh, Alex did request that Miranda give us a little bit of background on the upcoming Board of Trustees agenda item on the compensation study. And Miranda did share a ton of background materials, which are all linked in our July meeting folder. And just definitely let me know if you need a link to that, but the background materials are also linked in the agenda. But yeah, if you could just give us like a couple minute background on that.
Yes, so the Board of Trustees back in April-ish asked me to work with a consultant on a compensation study. So for a long time, I've been saying, we have a discrepancy in what staff are paid versus what they should be paid. And the board were like, okay, get the figures. So we already have a contract with Employers Council. They are HR legal team, and they provide compensation study services as well as job description services. So we engage them on both fronts. Because many people have been here, their job descriptions don't match what they do. And you can't do an effective compensation study if you don't have the true job description. So we worked with all of our staff members to fill out very robust surveys to rebuild brand new job descriptions for not only all the staff, but also new job descriptions for how someone could move through a public works department, which is really the department where we see a lot of turnover because there's no growth path for someone. So identified some new jobs and I added it to the list of documents, but a certification chart that shows you if you start with us as a parks trainee, here's how you can move all the way up to a parks supervisor. From the job description, we then did a compensation study with another consultant who did a cross comparison of communities of similar size, communities of similar budget, also larger jurisdictions like Boulder and Denver. Where are we losing people to? And so a variety of different data sets. Those data sets were then adjusted to match Nederland's budget, primarily our budget and our staff size. And what came of that is a range showing, again, what staff should be making at a minimum within a range, a middle, and middle is the competitive rate. It's really what we should be aiming for, as well as the high range, because you've been here a long time. What we learned is that there was a $209,000 gap between what staff as a collective whole should be making and what we are making. Meaning we're $209,000 short as a collective whole. Again, middle range is what we should be aiming for, but my recommendation to the Board of Trustees with staff support, department head support was get everyone to their middle or their minimum range. Get everyone at least within their competitive range. And then in 2024, 2025, we'll start to move people more towards their middle, but get them within the range itself. We received unanimous support from the Board of Trustees in under a supplemental budget, getting any staff member who needed $10,000 or less to get to their minimum, they would get it in August. There are 6 department heads who are needing more than $10,000 to get to their minimum. So in an effort to not make a huge impact on the budget, we offered a 50-50 split, which the board liked, where department heads get 50% of that now and the other 50 next year. Nikki is one of those staff members that falls into that 6. So she would be looking at 50% now, 50% in January. Obviously this is important for a variety of different reasons. Not only is it important for staff retention, staff morale, it's also just recognizing the quality we can get, but really invest in what we have. We've been very creative over the last year and seen a lot of changes, but we really buckled down and invested from within and put our all into staff. And when we were asked what's our number one goal, we said staff. You know, the staff are gonna, compensating staff, training staff, giving them a career path was the most important thing to us, and are very appreciative that the board supported it. What we'll do on August 1st is we'll bring back a supplemental budget that activates all those raises, and then actually staff will get it on their next paycheck, not the paycheck they're in, the next one they go into. You know, and I think, you know, the kind of the downfalls, it doesn't take into consideration, you know, Nikki and how long she's been here and what she's done. It's again, getting her to that minimum, but really recognizing that that's a huge move in and of itself. And then we can only go up from here. So, super happy about what happened. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I was blown away. I was blown away. And I actually said to Miranda, I'm trying not to count my chickens, but, I've said it for a long time. I've been on Indeed, I've been on LinkedIn, looking at what I could make if I just went to Golden or Boulder or one of those places. But my level of commitment is really to Nederland. It's my hometown. I grew up here, and I, glutton for punishment or not, decided to stick it out with the town, and I'm super excited to, and still a little like, really? That this could actually happen. But to see that my pay rate was half of what I can make if I go down below. And to know now that I'm going to be recognized is incredibly important. Miranda did a fabulous job of pushing this through.
Nice.
And really working hard for staff and getting the BOT to understand that, yeah, although we were paying a great wage for people coming in an entry-level position, people who have been here with any length of time, or people who have any kind of serious experience, we were severely underpaid.
Yeah.
And what's great too is, and I'm trying to get it open, but it won't, you know, so while Nikki is in the 50-50 split, what I love too is actually all of her staff members are getting an increase. And that's big too. And so you know, there were some positions, just a handful, that were actually appropriately paid within their range, which is great, but that was not the norm. More often than not, you know, even entry levels who just started with Nikki were not paid correctly. So we're making all of those adjustments within parks. And then the great thing about the certification chart is now Nikki's team knows, like, well, here's how you get from senior park operator, which is what Brian and Mark are moving into senior park operators. They've been here long enough. They've really done the work. Steve is staying as the parks operator, but he knows how he gets to that next level.
There's a path forward.
Because we did lose a lot of people to Boulder County, right? They got their CDLs and they're like, well, I'm out. I'm going to Boulder County. So now you get your CDL and you move into this whole new level, this whole new pay range that is competitive with Boulder County. So there really is no reason to leave. And we show you where you can go, but you can also stay a parks operator, and you've got a great range to operate in if you just wanted to stay in that position. People can make this their home. And really, when we kind of pulled staff, what was the challenge? What would make you leave? It was pay. It wasn't anything else. People love their culture. They love their job. They love their teams. It was pay was going to be the reason they would leave us.
Yep. We wanted to be, and Miranda said it, and I think it was you, I'm pretty sure it was you that said it, that we want to be the employer of choice. And in a small community like this, with a very small, limited amount of blue collar workers, we have to be the employer of choice. You know, you lose one guy, he talks crap down at the bar, and next thing you know, you don't have the next five because they've heard whatever. So this is really a big deal for the town of Nederland as a whole to really make steps towards being that employer of choice in the mountain area.
That's awesome.
Nice work, everybody.
And you can almost check
I dropped off for just a moment there, accidentally. I guess wanted to chime in and see if I missed anything other than the discussion I was listening into on the fact that we need to pay everybody more.
Good job.
Yep.
Great
That's
summary.
basically it.
Great summary.
And that we should, since it is a discussion item, I'll just weigh in, and my quick thoughts, they'll be quick, is that as much as we can afford as a town to pay people, we should. And that's like simple as that, from my perspective.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, just a
No.
quick question for you guys. Who did you say facilitated this study? It was a third party, was
It's
it
called Employers Council, Amanda.
okay. Employers Council. Is that local? Is it like what is that exactly?
Based out of Denver, but the town already them for legal services related to employment law.
Alrighty, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if I could add just one more thing, sorry. This is Sam. As far as how fast we can get this done as a town, as far as on the record, I think we should get people paid as fast as possible more, like better, because that makes an impact on their daily life.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah.
So that's objective one, basically, on the bot goals, like that would be check.
Yep, we're about to check it out, but we won't check it off until January, because I was very big on
Yeah.
that 50-50 is not like 50 now and then we think
We'll
about
see
it later. It was Rita and I will be, because we're changing the budget structure too, where Rita and I are building the budget and we'll build it around that staffing, making sure that that other 50 happens for that top 6.
Yeah.
Because it's also everyone works hard, but that's your hardest working top 6 of the team who's doing your late night meetings. Those are the people who, and have the biggest gap.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you both.
Yeah. Thanks for the update on that. I think it's incredibly important. So I'm really glad to hear that the BOT was so.
It was wonderful.
And I know you have employment counsel and you're not my client, but if you ever want to socially talk about getting ideas off of me.
Socially,
I do
talking
it-
about employment
yeah.
law.
I love talking
Just as
employment law.
acquaintances, not in an attorney-client relationship.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for the update on that. So let's see, I believe the last thing we have on the agenda it's the longest thing, although we have a small group, so we'll see how this goes. So I put this on the agenda. Sam, you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, awesome. So you might want to pull up the strategic plan and goals document just for this conversation, just FYI. So here's the basic background. So the Board of Trustees met 2 nights ago, I believe, to discuss their draft strategic plan, which is the document I sent. And CT, I actually have 2 copies if you want.
Everything. It's hard to read on my phone.
Might have some notes on this one, but which has, as you can imagine, objectives and goals related to parks and recreation on it. And so that was the kind of first thing. My understanding is that so this is still open to sort of comment. And my understanding is that we have 2 weeks. Maybe that's before August 1st.
So we actually extended it to August 15th because we decided we did want to run it through the NPP process, and the DDA doesn't meet until the 9th.
We did.
So you have,
So does that mean they're coming to?
you're doing it for us, so we're here. This is us wanting to hear your feedback, but we don't want it, we want to hear from SAB, PROSAB, DDA, Planning Commission.
Okay, but we have until August 15th because it'll come in writing, basically, is the idea.
Well, really, ideally, you would give it to us by August 9th.
Okay,
So that Nicole and I have a couple days to tweak it, because that's the day that we'll present to the DDA.
great. I just need a deadline. I thrive on deadlines.
Yes, great.
Okay, cool. So we have until August 9th as PROSAB to offer feedback and as individuals, to offer feedback to the Board of Trustees on the draft strategic plan. What I would love to do is start the conversation here with this group for board level feedback. Again, as individuals, we can all offer any feedback, or individual members of PROSAB even, we can all offer individual feedback. But I thought it would be great if we have any as like PROSAB, and I volunteer to write this down and like make sure you guys are good with it before I send it in, if you want me to. But if we have feedback on this from a PROSAB perspective, especially since we just went through our own goal setting prioritization, that we start that conversation. I can take, again, if you guys are okay with that, I can take the thoughts here and put it down in writing, and then one-on-one send it to each of you to get feedback before sending to the BOT. But yeah, so just kind of wanted to open up the conversation here. This is the large part of the conversation tonight. Just to foreshadow, the second part is to look at the results of the PROSAB goal setting prioritization, partially in the context of the BOT goals and partially just because I have them now. So I thought I should share them with all of you. But there are a couple of things kind of not on there that I realized when I was looking at them are on the Board of Trustees list, like the rank, for example. So there is no action happening on the PROSAB goals tonight. That will be at our next meeting. But just wanted to get everybody's eyeballs on these before then. So
Can I give a little context on the strategic plan for the Board of Trustees? Just super, like 1 minute.
sure.
So the Board of Trustees met to identify some goals, and so did department heads, and we did them separately. And the whole point was we didn't want one group to influence the other. And then we came together and did a cross comparison. And what was great, and Nikki talked about it the other night, is lists were practically the same. But we want you to understand too, with this big compensation study, we need a year of stabilization. And so this is not your dreaming list. So you might be like, well, why isn't this large scale item on here? We need some time. And Nikki, I love the phrase Nikki used, like, let us check some boxes. And so the majority of this list are a lot of things that are already in the works that we just want to say, yep, we did it. Because as boards add on new projects to our plate, these things become harder and harder to do. So
Yeah.
Don't be alarmed if you're not seeing something. It doesn't mean we don't care about it, but what it means is this is where our focus goes for the rest of 2023 and all of 2024.
Yeah.
And as we check boxes, we can add new boxes.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And to be clear, what I was saying is I thought something on your list was missing
Yeah,
from our
right.
list.
But I know that
So-
some people might wonder why our list is not more dreaming.
Totally,
And we're
yeah.
just not,
No.
we would like to check some boxes.
Amen.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what I would like to do first, if that's okay with everybody, is spend just about 10 minutes. Well, I guess I should ask first, has anyone not yet the BOT strategic plan and needs like 2 minutes to read it?
I'm good.
Not to speed.
You're good? Sam, are you good?
I haven't.
Yeah, works for me.
Okay. So, then I would like to just, thank you, CT. I would love to just open up the conversation then. Is there anything on here in our purview, not in general, in PROSAB's purview, that you think we as a board should communicate to the Board of Trustees we think should be changed or edited or added, or is there anything missing?
Oh, you want to go CT?
Here, why don't people just raise and I'll keep a stack. So Alex, and then I want to go,
If you want to go first.
Oh, yeah.
and then CT. Okay, Alex.
A major discrepancy between ours and Board of Trustees is volunteers, which was our tied for second highest votes. So I don't know whether that's a adjustment needed on our part or adjustment needed on the BOT part. There is like public engagement type stuff in the BOT, so maybe that's an easy kind of addition, but just planting that seed. And then there, like Kat called out, a couple of things that aren't on ours that are on the BOT, like the resurfacing, or that didn't land in our top
Yeah,
box
let's
necessarily.
hold on looking at
Okay,
ours because we'll
okay,
do that
Okay,
in August.
okay, then I'll stick with, for this, the two things that stuck out to me, PROSAB related, were the December 2024 timeline for pros, because that makes me wonder, how are we working back from that timeline? You know, if we're putting a line in the sand. Yes,
I'm ready. Can I answer?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Nikki and I would like to come to you next month. We'll fill out the form.
okay,
That we would work through post one chapter at a time. That if we took it one chapter at a time and
With
either
the committee.
with a committee,
Ah.
took it one chapter at a time, that we would be able to get through PROST by December 2024. We're updating ourselves. I mean, I think it was great to have Alex or Amanda and Sarah, but it's just, we'd have to take this now back to internal. But we think we can manage it 1 month to one chapter.
Starting in October,
Starting-
there are 7 chapters, right?
Yep, so that gives plenty of time to adjust, because the majority, that's obviously a big book, but the majority of it is appendix.
And then we create a budget line next year, or 24 or 25, to create the actual book.
Right. Next,
Oh,
So
what's what's the money entailed in creating the actual?
Just the publication.
Oh, just
fee.
printing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
So
that's-
where you're not envisioning using any consultant, anything?
No, because what we also told the board of trustees that comes along with this plan is not adding on new revenue line items. We, we have to be mindful of the increases that are coming.
Right.
And so Nikki and I feel confident that we could do it in-house with but with that committee, and we take it again, one chapter at a time. And so we meet the first week of the month, we talk about the chapter, by the time we meet, we've got 4 weeks to work on those updates that are discussed.
I do have a question on that though, because I totally think that it's possible that we could go through and update it. I do wonder though, so one of the things I've been thinking recently, based on the conversation we had last month about a trail proposal, right? That part of the updating of the master plan could be an overall envisioning of what trail connectivity, just an overall plan of which pieces could be chunked out. And is that, cause that, I feel like that is.
Stuff, I think that is kind of stuff can be tackled as we come to it.
Yes.
And we have this great information from Sarah and Amanda that talks about that piece specifically and what we need, some of the things that we can add, some of the things that we take away. The other piece of that is for instance, chapter 5, the Gateway Master Plan, which is now the Barker Meadows Park. There's a lot of that stuff that's gonna come out because it's already done.
Yeah.
But then we'll be able to add in, however we see it. But I think that if we have a committee, a group of 4 of us that are all taking each chapter one at a time, I see no reason why we can't tackle that. If we find that we run into
Fine.
this is above and beyond, and maybe we need to pull in some outside help, then we'll just tackle it as we
Yeah.
come to it.
Yeah, I guess we haven't fully fleshed this idea out. We want to come to you in August with
Yeah.
our fully fleshed out concept, but
Yeah.
we felt very comfortable and confident that we could do this and recognizing that Nikki has a ton of administrative town hall support behind her, so it's not just taking
Yeah.
all of Nikki's time. We've got a solid administrative core
Yeah.
that provides that additional support.
Just when I look at the pros from 10 years ago, there's a list of 20 people plus this consultant team who worked on it. So that's where I'm hesitant, I have a full-time job. You guys have full-time jobs. They're not writing the pros. I'm not an expert in this. So I trust that you put thought into it, but I'm cautious of putting a line in the sand, and then it's PROSAB failed because they didn't meet that
Yeah.
deadline.
No, I don't think that anybody, it's not setting us up for failure, it's setting us up for success. It's something to aim for, and I think we can do it.
And movement. And Nicole and I actually talked about this slide a lot because I felt the same way. I was like, can't add all these. And she's like, 75% is success, right? This is a commitment. This is movement. But, a consultant is only coming if there's a grant for it. And I am not aware of any grants right now for a pros. And of course, we'll keep our eye out for it. But that was also our commitment to the board that we wouldn't add in large capital improvement type projects or big plans without grant funding to go with it.
And we also
So,
need,
sorry, can I pause this so we can get to, because I think this is a really good discussion, but I want to get to the list of different, as opposed to dig into each item,
Okay.
a full list of things we think
Sorry,
we
I
might need
took
to.
this off.
No, it's okay. I mean, I agree with you. I actually am pretty hesitant to
So
commit
what
to
do you
doing
want?
this with
You
them.
want a list of what?
So a list of things that we think might be missing or should be changed, or we have thoughts on, and then we can figure out what we actually
Okay.
want to
Got it. My second thing was the Big Springs egress. I thought it's too preliminary, it's not committing enough.
Oh, I thought your second thing was the PROST
No, my first thing was the pros.
and the volunteer program?
You said not to focus on our list. So I removed that.
Oh, no, but it's if there's something missing from here that we think we should tell the BOT that. we
Oh,
think should be
you only want
important.
missing things.
No.
Sorry, go off of me, go off of me.
Any feedback on the Board of Trustees strategic plan?
Yeah, I'm getting feedback. I'm saying
Yeah.
they're being too aggressive perhaps with the December 2024 and not aggressive enough with the Big Springs egress because they're only committing to an initial study.
Yeah, no,
And that's
I'm-
it.
I'm
Yeah.
not objecting to your feedback. I'm just saying we can't get into a huge
Yes,
discussion
yes.
about each item.
Yes,
Because we don't.
understood.
But are we
That's-
allowed to offer comments about why it was set as such, or do you not want to hear?
Can we hold on that
Sure.
so we can get surface what people are into and then, because some of these might be personal pieces of feedback to the Board of Trustees.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put, I have other personal, but I'll send those from my Gmail address.
Yeah, no, totally. So the two things I wanted to add to the list, were, I didn't see anything. Can I actually see that back? Because I wrote them on, on my original, sorry. So the two things, I could be missing this, but the two things I wanted to note are like trails, like connectivity, maintenance, and ADA accessibility seems like a huge priority, right? But it's, I don't see it anywhere on the Board of Trustees, like.
Nope.
Can we respond? Because also maybe I can offer, this isn't day-to-day stuff. This won't capture any of the department's day-to-day activities.
This isn't like just the parks and what we're doing.
I think
No,
some of the
yeah.
sidewalk stuff is.
A lot of it's actually day to
Like
day.
removing the gravel stuff is
Yeah.
ADA.
Right, so, but I guess if I understood maybe what you're saying, and maybe I didn't catch, if we're talking about just working on trails maintenance, that's not gonna show up on here.
No, not really. No, what I'm saying is the big, so, you know, all the charrettes that we did in 2022, like the biggest pieces of feedback were connectivity, signage, ADA compliance, and like, trails maintenance. But like, so.
Accessibility at Chipeta.
Yeah, for Chipeta specifically.
yeah.
So there is a thing on there about ADA, but, and this was just the primary thing that I thought was prioritized in our conversations and the public engagement that we've done over the last year or so.
So I'll say that the board's strategic goals are goals that I know that we can complete in the next 18 months.
Uh-huh.
So consider that, and consider how big the connectivity for trails piece is. It's a huge piece.
No, it is, it's true.
So this is something like we were able to narrow it down to a few things that I know I can achieve.
Got it. And what were your bits?
I wasn't sure if this would fit into emergency preparedness or in Parks and Recreation specifically, but the removal of excess fuel in town managed open space.
Mitigation.
There is an event with the Forestry Service coming up. I don't know if it's Monday next or the Monday after that, where they're going to talk about their community outreach efforts. I've been sitting in on some meetings with kind of the planning group that's looking at emergency preparedness. And I'd like to talk with them about how we could maybe do a volunteer event in the next few months on one of our open spaces to remove excess fuel. But it's worth talking about, particularly as we see the entire West in record-breaking temperatures and the worst wildfire season in Canada's entire history, worst wildfires we've ever seen. This can, will, and unfortunately must be addressed by town. It's got to be top of mind.
There's been recent talk about bringing back the Saws and Slaws program or something of the like. And I'm all about it. I'm very much in support of that mitigation piece.
Saws and slaws sounds right in my alley.
It was a really, you would
Maybe you
fit
could
in,
start the
actually
saws and slaws.
really well. It was a really fun group. And I kind of know some of the history of why it dropped off, but regardless, it dropped off. So hopefully we need another citizens group, to pick that up. I think the Coal Creek Canyon adopted one called Axe and Snacks. So
Okay,
same
the
concept.
rhyme scheme I like.
We need a
Doesn't have-
community champion.
Food, element, alliteration.
That's gonna require a community champion for sure.
I forgot, I had one other, and again, this might not be within the 18-month timeline, and it's not specific to parks, but I did, under the foster a strong organizational culture thinger, want to mention the development director notion, like bringing in someone specifically to manage fundraising for town. I was kind of like, I thought, because that seems like that just pays it for itself if you hire someone who can do it well. So I may just personally write into the Board of Trustees about that if that's not like something people are interested, but that was on our list of PROSAB advocacy things, right? And so I did just want to raise that. Oh, shoot, sorry, Sam, did you have anything you wanted to add to the list after reviewing the?
No, you guys have covered it pretty well. I'm looking at it over here, but I don't have anything really to add at the moment.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
So,
Hang in there.
I also made a note about the trails connectivity and improving mapping, which I think is a good point. But
Yeah.
I felt you made it well.
Well, I guess then my question is for any of the lists that we have there, are there anything? And it doesn't, we don't have to figure out anything that we as like a whole board want to write in about, but, do you want to, say more about the egress? Are we?
Maybe can I just add though, I would say that whatever PROSAB recommends, you don't need to, I'm going to strongly encourage you to make sure that Nikki's on board with that. So, because you have to recognize this is a list for town staff to
Right.
complete, not for
Totally.
the boards to complete. And so I just want to make sure that Nikki is considered and whatever maybe gets added.
For sure.
Do you want to have Miranda respond to any of these items, or how do you want to proceed?
Oh, yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted to say more about the egress.
I think I just said it's not ambitious enough. I think the only commitment is to do the initial study, and that's basically putting us back where we were 2-3 years
Yeah,
ago.
so that's what we have the funding for though, is to do the study. And that's
And-
all we have funding for, and the study's set to end December 2024. So there won't be any construction that could occur prior to
Okay,
December.
so it's not.
I get what,
18 months.
yeah, trust me, I get it, because I wish that we could construct, but because that's all the board allocated those funds for, that's all we are committing to. And then once the study's done, the board's gonna have to look at new funding sources to build the route.
Right, and that would be after the 18-month horizon. The PROSAB does get input on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
That does fall.
Yeah, we're still working out the contract with JVA, and then as soon as that releases, Troy is the grant lead on that.
Okay, that addresses my concern on that.
But I get it. I get that concern.
Well, yeah, so we're just going in circles.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think per your point, like I think we all agree that the trail connectivity, ADA, signage, all of that is hugely important, but also like that really falls from the PROST update, really, and is like more than an 18-month like to completion project.
And I do think it also comes from the multimodal transportation plan, because that is not just vehicle or EV. I mean, we also included trails and walkability in that, and that's set to end April 2024. So between that and PROST, I think you end up ending the year with a pretty great plan for trail connectivity that then could get executed in 2025.
Mhm.
And the DDA is all over wayfinding.
Yeah.
So we didn't add anything wayfinding because that's their
Just gonna ask
world.
that.
Yes.
But is that, I'm not too familiar with the multimodal, are like, we going to be working with them
Mhm.
or?
So we
okay.
hired a consultant, we received a fund from CDOT with Sophia and Piers working on the contract for that as well. But they'll have a very robust, public engagement that does conclude the MPP process and coming around to all the boards and commissions.
Yeah, so I think based on your like reminder about that and also realizing that like the plans come and then like that makes sense.
But
to
we
me.
could add language if it's helpful to clarify that the PROST and the multimodal help to create the framework for trails connectivity. And maybe that kind of satisfies that commitment of we know that we're aiming towards that.
I think that, I mean, I personally would love that. What are your thoughts?
I think it's just what's needed.
Okay.
Hey, I've got to jump off, unfortunately. So I'm sorry, I want to leave. But is there anything else that makes sense for me to stay on for after?
It
Sorry to
looks
do
like
that.
you have Jesse on after all.
Okay. Oh, that kind of helps.
Sam,
All
bye.
right, I'm gonna jump off. Jesse sounds like he can take over the quorum aspect of things if needed.
Just here, right? At like 7.
All right. See y'all.
Bye,
Ron, did you
Sam.
wanna-
Huh?
Ron, do you want to say what you were going to say?
Yeah, I just had a quick comment. We have this wayfinding committee. I'd sure like them to work with you guys and come
Yeah.
to your meeting. Because this has been going on for a year and a half. So we're deeply into this.
Yeah,
And I think it's time that we did kind of coordinate together.
I think that would be great.
I will ask them to come to your next meeting if you'll put them on the agenda for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
just
he
have-
did a
have them
walkthrough.
shoot me a note
Did a walkthrough with me.
Okay.
I got a little something to say about that at the very end of the meeting,
about, okay,
about wayfinding and signage.
you can say it now.
Okay. Next meeting, the sign for approval for the Moose Meadows open space should be available for your approval, before it's hung. And I had to get, like state park lettering so that my letters would all come out nice. But it's something to keep in mind for signage. It ain't fast, but we do have the ability to make it, so.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I-
CT.
Consistency in the sign patterns, I think is. really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, state
Um,
park signage is like a font, so.
Oh, you went with state park, not town stuff? Is that what-
It's the name of the font.
Oh.
It matches up just fine with the, Joe Smith Park,
Awesome.
that's state park font.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I think then, hey, so Jesse, are just wrapping up. We had, looked at the Board of Trustees draft strategic plan, and we're sort of soliciting feedback from the PROSAB members if there was like anything missing or ideas or questions or thoughts. I'm imagining that you've already given feedback since you're on the Board of Trustees, but is there anything you would like to add to the list that we just went through?
I mean, I'm really favorable to anything having to do with trails and biking specifically. And all I said kind of with the BOT was just to the extent that we can build in any metrics is really great in my opinion. But I was pretty active in our conversation with the BOT, and I'm happy with everything as it is. So
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
happy to move it forward.
Yeah, no, appreciate your work on that for sure. So I think, I am, Miranda, the change you suggested about sort of these two plans working toward, is that something you can just like pass along? Is
It's
that,
already in my track to edits.
okay? And
Can I ask
then,
a question?
of course, yeah.
There are some 2025 dates in there,
Mhm.
so they're beyond the 18-month.
Yeah, just because of those being grants. So tips and SMS have a hard deadline of 2025. That's the only reason you see the 2025
Okay.
is just showing that tips and SMS won't technically be fully completed grants until that time.
Well, we have the grant money now, and the
Yes.
grant doesn't
Yeah.
require us to be done.
Right.
It honestly might be worth noting that because you're gonna
Okay.
get pushback from like asterisk or something, because like my initial reaction
Okay.
is why do some longer things get in
Sure.
and not others? But if you
Yeah.
set that hard 18, I think it's
Yeah.
self-explanatory why some things can't get in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And, Miranda, you and I were just kind of whispering. Some of the goals that PROSAB have are PROSAB goals. These are BOT goals that are forming. There's no reason why PROSAB can't continue to create a volunteer program.
Yep.
And to do those things. So, you know, keep working towards PROSAB things in a PROSAB light, but know that this stuff is coming down my pipe.
Yeah, and I would say maybe your recommendation on the development director, because we're not gonna list specific staff members, because I know SAB is fighting hard for a sustainability coordinator. Because that's definitely a budget, and it would be important for PROSAB, and I know we talked about it before, when it's time for the budget, to weigh in on the budget. The different staff you want, the different funding priorities, all those things. We've never done that before, but we'd like to run the budget through the boards to make sure that we're not missing things that are important under, because every board is now doing the strategic plan. which is cool.
When does that happen?
September, October.
Okay. So yeah, I guess based on that, I'm fine with, I may have personal comments, but I'm fine with not like writing any like with the weight of PROSAB, but I want to see if anyone else wants to make the case for why something on this list should come from the full PROSAB, and I am more than happy to, I'm saying just me personally. So if anyone wants to make the case for something else, anything on this list or anything else, go for it. We have about 5 minutes left.
I do feel for 18 months, this is a very ambitious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adding to it seems.
Banana
Thank you for recognizing.
Banana
that.
cake.
And they're like, oh, it's like.
Yeah, it says 18 months.
It's
It's all
a-
focused
yeah,
on
it's
18 months portion of this. We all are
And
heirs to mortal flesh, so let's keep that in mind.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was a
what-
very good reminder.
this
Thank
is
you.
what staff views as stabilization, so I think that means something. This is what our world is right here, right now, and so
Not-
I think it also gives perspective of why we sometimes say like, oh, we can't, like, we finally put it in writing.
Please stop.
So people understand
Stop.
what, and so people understand what we're doing. You may not always see it, but there's like a lot of work that goes into each one of these even now.
Yeah,
Nothing's new to us. Everything already has momentum.
Are you handling all the sidewalk things just on your team?
SMS, like, is that what you're talking about?
No, the sidewalk items in there. Is your
Yeah.
team,
SMS is me and the team.
what's SMS?
Safer Main Streets, it's the
Mhm.
crosswalk sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
Tip stayed with Mark because of the paving and.
Paving and
some of the
the
other
I see.
pieces.
Okay.
Oh, so all the sidewalk stuff is you?
I'm Trails and Sidewalks.
Yeah, so Safer Main Streets with Nikki, Transportation Improvement Project, Mark is the champion for just about every department head or division has some sort of grant that they're championing.
Yeah.
Or more.
Or more.
I have a question for you guys if you're able to answer.
Three.
please.
Yeah, go for it.
So
Amanda.
I'm curious, do you guys have an expected publishing date for the final draft of this?
We're hoping for Board of Trustee adoption on August 15th.
Okay. And how many times are you guys expecting that to go between you and the Board of Trustees, depending on like, what you guys want to change?
So I think we're doing as staff soliciting feedback between now, PROSAB is the first, between now and August 9th. And then what we bring to the Board of Trustees will incorporate all that feedback. And then our ask would be adoption, but we'll see how the board feels at that time.
Gotcha.
Our hope is that it doesn't change too much, but definitely making sure we offer clarification. I think this trails connectivity, that is some perfect things of making sure that we're not missing
Yeah.
what may not be stated, but offering a little bit of that clarification, but adding new is gonna be tough, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, looking back on this with your commentary, like.
Yeah.
Removing slash from the various open spaces is a lifetime project. It's not a 18.
It is
project,
indeed.
So.
And it's
Yeah.
gonna take a community champion, and it's gonna take grants, and it's gonna take a group of citizens to bring back something like.
Yeah.
Indeed.
access
And it's
and access
incredibly
clause.
important, but yeah.
Very incredible. And believe me, it's something that is always, it's always on my mind. We have other meetings,
Yeah,
various other meetings with the various other Forest Service and CWPP
Yeah.
and et cetera.
and it's not like not putting it on this list prevents us from working on it. Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Exactly.
seeing,
I think it's related to the, like, pulling together a volunteer program, because a volunteer program could,
Hang on, PROSAB, look at that.
yeah.
right? Like, it, and
Yeah.
like, so I actually think it's actually a really great project for potentially PROSAB and or PROSAB plus community members to dig into, I think.
Yeah, and we recognize that these are like our stated goals. There may be kind of maybe some more silent things that happen on the back end, but this also gives staff leverage to say not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please
We
stop.
love your idea, it's so great, but
Yeah.
not right now. And here's why, where historically when we said not right now, people are like, oh, what are they doing? And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, here's our plan, we don't do it.
Yeah.
What about our tax dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Totally
here's the
This
plan, and
takes
so
months.
it does, build, and we can't go to the Board of Trustees, we have to in every aim declare how our action item ties back to the strategic plan. And it holds us accountable to not be like, oh, fun, squirrel, this looks cool, we're not gonna do it, we have to stick to the plan.
Yep, I do.
I'm really good at being like, you guys, this. And so it's even for me, I mean, it's down to all of us knowing that this, if we do nothing else, this is our 18-month. And this is huge. If we do this for the community, it's transformative. If we can actually execute even 80% of this plan.
Yeah.
It's some
Yeah.
serious movement.
And this is exactly why I do get frustrated, and I love all the ideas, and I've said it to many people on PROSAB. I love all the ideas, but there are 7 of you on our best day and 1 of me, and I need to check some boxes.
Yeah.
That's totally.
100% good reminder.
So
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, if we're
Yeah,
if
we,
we're committing to this December date, I think it should be an agenda item on every PROSAB meeting going forward. I think that's the only way it's ever gonna happen. So just if everyone's comfortable putting December as a line in the sand,
I mean,
we need to be committed to then committing to it, so.
yeah, I mean, it did, like, to get to our next agenda item, it was the top, of, like, on the list of prioritization from our work session.
Oh, yeah. I was impressed. Good job.
Yeah, so I do think you're right, and that's super important. It still makes me really nervous, but I think
Yeah,
it's super
totally.
important. The only way we have
And
a
it
shot.
should, but that's how we're gonna do it well.
Yeah,
And that's what Nicole really wanted in this, is like, what are the things that make us uncomfortable, but push us to strive for something more than just like, yeah, we did it and we're gonna do it tomorrow. It doesn't even get on the list if it's happening tomorrow.
yeah. So we just have a couple of minutes left. So I do want to just look at the last couple of things. Oh, and then, hey, Jesse, I realized that we skipped over your agenda item, and are now kind of running out of time. Would it be okay with you if we bump that to the August item? Is that,
Yeah, that's preferred, actually.
oh, good. Okay.
Can I just make an ask though, Jesse, that we sit down, you, me and Nikki, and talk through that? Cause that my ask last time was that came before staff.
Yeah, yep, and that's my mistake, and that's why I wanted to not talk about it today.
Okay.
That was a palm to forehead moment.
Ah, awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being flexible, Jesse. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, so just the last couple of things are mostly sort of heads up and FYIs, and I'll shoot some text to the folks who weren't here. Is that we have the results of our PROSAB goal setting. They aren't final, I want to be clear, because I thought it was really important for everybody to look at the BOT strategic plan, the town strategic plan, and for us to have some, like, our thinking caps on a little bit after we saw the list, specifically because I like, we have nothing about Rink on here, which, like, I think is because that's new to our purview potentially. Anyway, so I wanted to share this and make sure everybody looked at it. So what we have here is at the top is the summary of results. So I went through and tallied. So everybody on the board was asked to put their top 5 PROSAB priorities from 1 to 5. Those are all in here by individual. It's anonymized because we didn't ask if we could share names, so I just anonymized it. But so everybody's top 5 are listed in this document, and then at the top, they're tallied. So the top 5 as they came out were Prost Update, go team, volunteer program with 5, Prost Update with 6 votes, volunteer program with 5 votes, Chipeta Playground Update with 5 votes, Pump Track with 4 votes, Town Trail Connectivity / Signs with 3 votes, tied with conservation easements, 3 votes, funding 3 votes, and then a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So my ask at this meeting is no decision, no discussion, but more to just look at it, think about it, noodle on it. And then in August, we'll come back with Nicole and have a conversation about kind of finalizing and enshrining our top 5 goals at that meeting. So there's that. And then also remember, we have a list of advocacy things too. So none of those are on here, but they're also things that we decided were important for us to advocate on behalf of. So that's just a heads up for the August meeting. And then the other heads up for the August meeting is that we will have Nicole Sterling from the BOT and Peter Kasich from town they're going to be facilitating a conversation with us about public engagement and how PROSAB can engage the public. And as just a very small precursor to that, I put together a folder of 2023 summary of PROSAB community engagement. So it's just the stuff I know about. So the 2022 charrettes, the pump track petition, the current Prost, the old Prosts. So I just thought it was helpful to start putting that stuff in one place. And then we could take a look at it before that public engagement conversation. So if there's anything to add to that, you have to send it to me because of the sunshine stuff. It's read only for y'all. But please, I don't know everything by any stretch of the imagination. So if there's anything you want me to add to that folder that's related to direct community engagement that we've done or gotten, please, please, please do. So that's just a heads up. Take a look at that before the next meeting in August.
Thank you for all the work putting the tallying together.
And if you notice any adding errors, please just let me know. So yeah, and Nicole put that whole survey together, so that was amazing.
Yeah.
I just took the results, so that was super helpful. But anyway, appreciate everybody's time spent and input and such. So are there any last things before we adjourn?
Thanks, Ruth, for letting me come and interrupt.
Heck, yeah.
Thanks for
Good luck.
Commentary.
Yeah.
Of course,
Thanks for
Amanda, the Fifth Estate is always welcome here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Amanda.
Thanks for letting me be your fly on the wall.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourned.
Nice job, Kat. 1 minute late.
Well done.
Oh, two.